Did you know that Noah wasn't just an ordinary baby? His birth was a supernatural event that terrified even his own father. With glowing eyes that lit up the entire house and a divine presence unlike any human, Noah's arrival was a sign of something greater, a prophecy that would change the fate of the world forever. But this story isn't just about Noah. It's about the fallen angels who defied God, took human wives, and created monstrous offspring. It's about a secret judgment, a catastrophic flood, and a divine plan that would cleanse the earth of corruption. Ancient texts reveal hidden secrets about the Watchers, angels who fell from grace, and the terrifying punishment they would face. The truth behind these forbidden events has been buried for centuries, but today we uncover it all. What really happened during Noah's time? What did the prophet Enoch see in his visions? And how did the actions of these rebellious angels lead to the greatest catastrophe in history? Stay tuned, because this is a story the world wasn't meant to remember. But you're about to hear it all. Let's dive into the lost book of Enoch. Methuselah, a man of great wisdom and years, sought a wife for his son Lamech, a woman of noble heart and steadfast faith. In due time, she bore a child unlike any other, a being whose very existence seemed to echo divine craftsmanship, Noah. From the moment he entered the world, Noah bore signs that set him apart. His skin, white as fallen snow, seemed untouched by the blemish of earthly toil. His cheeks, flushed with the delicate hue of blooming roses, radiated an ethereal warmth. His hair, long and soft as the finest wool, cascaded down in a shimmering veil, as if woven from the purity of the heavens. But it was his eyes that struck awe into all who beheld him, for they blazed like burning torches, illuminating the chamber with a celestial glow. Those who witnessed his birth trembled, for in his gaze was a power unknown to men, a light that spoke of mysteries beyond mortal comprehension. And then, in a moment that sent shivers through the hearts of all present, the newborn opened his mouth and uttered words, not the cry of an infant, but a blessing unto the Lord Most High. His voice, though soft, carried a resonance that seemed to ripple through the air, filling the room with a presence unseen yet deeply felt. Lamech, upon seeing his son, was overcome with dread. Was this child truly of his blood, or had he been conceived by divine or angelic intervention? His mind reeled with fear, his heart thundered with uncertainty. The radiance, the utterance, the very being of Noah seemed too wondrous, too extraordinary to belong to mere humanity. In his turmoil, Lamech sought out his father, Methuselah, pouring out his doubts and fears. "My father, I have begotten a son, but he is unlike any born of flesh. His form is fair beyond measure, his countenance shines as the stars, and his eyes hold the fire of heaven. He speaks already, and his words are those of praise unto the Lord. I fear that he is not of my seed, but of the watchers above. Tell me, what shall I do?" Methuselah, a man who had walked long upon the earth and had seen both wonders and terrors, listened intently. Yet even he was shaken by the account of his grandson's birth. This was no ordinary event. This was a sign, a revelation of something greater at work in the fabric of time. Sensing the weight of the matter, he determined to seek counsel beyond his own wisdom, for there were whispers of heavenly matters that only one man on earth could decipher, his own father, Enoch, the righteous prophet who walked with God. The scriptures tell us that Enoch was no longer among men, for he had been taken by the Lord, spared from death to dwell in divine realms. Yet Methuselah, through prayer and divine grace, sought to commune with his father. In a vision, the old prophet spoke, "Methuselah, my son, fear not the birth of this child, for he is chosen. The Lord has set him apart for a great purpose, to be a light in the days of darkness to come. Through him, salvation shall be carried forth. The earth will be judged, and only those who walk in righteousness shall find refuge. The blood of men has been tainted by the transgressions of the fallen, but this child is pure. Raise him in the ways of the Lord, for he shall be a covenant to the generations. At these words Methuselah's heart was steadied, and he returned to Lamech with the wisdom imparted. My son, do not be afraid. Your child is no stranger to our bloodline, nor is he a being of the watchers. He is of us, yet chosen beyond us. The Lord's hand is upon him. Raise him in righteousness, and fear not the light that shines from his countenance. It is the light of divine favor. Lamech, though still shaken, found solace in his father's words. He beheld his son once more, not with fear, but with reverence. Indeed, there was something sacred in Noah's being, something ordained beyond human understanding. Thus Noah was raised in the knowledge of God, his every step marked by divine guidance. Those who looked upon him saw not just a child, but a symbol, a vessel through whom God's will would be made known. And though the world would soon descend into chaos, Noah stood as a testament to the covenant of the Almighty, a beacon in an age of encroaching darkness. For it is written in Genesis 6:9, Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. This was the destiny written upon his very birth, a path chosen before he took his first breath. Thus began the story of Noah, the man whose life would be the bridge between the old world and the new, the herald of both judgment and mercy, the one through whom God would preserve the remnant of righteousness upon the earth. Methuselah set forth on his journey, his heart burdened with the weight of uncertainty. The words of his son, Lamech, echoed in his mind, words that spoke of a child unlike any other, a child whose radiance defied the natural order of man. Was this truly the work of the Almighty, or had some other force intervened in the fabric of creation? To seek the truth, Methuselah knew he must find Enoch, his father, the one who had walked with God and was no more, taken into the heavenly realms. Through rugged terrain and valleys untouched by man's corruption, Methuselah traveled. His faith was steadfast, yet his thoughts swirled like the mighty waters that would one day cover the earth. He called upon the Lord for strength, and the answer was silence. Silence that demanded patience, silence that required trust. Finally, after much toil and prayer, he arrived at the hidden dwelling where Enoch resided among the divine messengers. Enoch, clothed in garments not of this world, welcomed his son with eyes that saw beyond the veil of mortality. His face bore the glow of celestial wisdom, and his presence exuded the peace of one who had glimpsed the divine mysteries. Methuselah, my son, he spoke, his voice gentle, yet imbued with the weight of eternity. Why have you come so far? What troubles your heart? With a deep breath, Methuselah recounted all that Lamech had told him, the birth of Noah, the fear that gripped his son, and the strange radiance that surrounded the child. My father, is this a sign of judgment or of grace? Has the Lord spoken of this? Tell me, that I may bring peace to Lamech's soul. Enoch's gaze did not waver, nor did he seem surprised. He lifted his hands to the heavens and spoke as one who had been entrusted with sacred knowledge. The days of men are numbered, Methuselah. Their hearts have turned from righteousness, and the earth groans beneath the weight of their iniquity. The Almighty, in his boundless wisdom, has appointed a remnant, a servant through whom salvation shall come. This child, Noah, is chosen. His light is not of the fallen, but of the Most High. He shall be a vessel of covenant, a beacon amid the coming flood of wrath. Methuselah trembled at his father's words. A flood? What do you mean, my father? What judgment is to come? Enoch's eyes darkened, not with fear, but with the burden of knowledge too great for mere flesh to bear. The wickedness of men is full. Their hands are stained with violence, and their lips speak deceit. The fallen ones have defiled the daughters of men, bringing forth corruption upon the earth. The cries of the righteous have reached the throne of the Almighty, and he shall cleanse the world with water, that it may be reborn. The weight of prophecy settled upon Methuselah's soul, and he fell to his knees. Is there no hope for them, my father? Will none be spared? Enoch knelt beside him, placing a hand upon his shoulder. The mercy of the Lord endures, and he has set apart Noah and his household. Through him a new beginning shall dawn, but the world as it is shall pass away. As it was in the days of Adam, so shall it be again, a purging, a renewal. The Lord has spoken it, and it shall come to pass. Methuselah wept, for he knew the heart of man was stubborn, and few would heed the warnings of judgment. Yet amidst the sorrow, a flicker of hope remained. Then I shall return to Lamech and tell him of these things. If Noah is chosen, then we shall raise him in righteousness, preparing him for the days ahead. Enoch smiled, though a trace of sorrow lingered in his expression. Indeed, my son, teach him the ways of truth. Let him walk in the fear of the Lord, for he shall be the father of a new age. With those words, Methuselah departed, his heart heavy yet resolute. He knew that the world would change, that the days of men were fleeting, but within his lineage, the Almighty had planted a seed of hope, a remnant of grace that would weather the coming storm. As he journeyed homeward, the words of his father echoed in his soul, a prophecy etched into the fabric of time. The flood would come, and the world would tremble. Yet through it all, the promise of redemption remained, shining like a beacon amidst the gathering darkness. The Lord is preparing to unveil a grand design, a divine orchestration that will transform the world. His plans are not fleeting or impulsive. They are woven into the very fabric of time, set in motion before the foundations of the earth were laid. As the prophet Enoch beheld in his visions, the heavens whisper of judgment and restoration, of reckoning and redemption. In the days of Enoch's father Jared, the order of creation was disrupted by celestial rebellion. A host of heavenly beings, entrusted with divine authority, cast aside their sacred duty and descended upon the earth. In defiance of God's decree, they took mortal women as wives, intertwining the celestial with the terrestrial. From this union arose a race of giants, the Nephilim, beings of immense power and unquenchable hunger. The Book of Enoch speaks of their insatiable desires, their violent dominion over the earth. They consumed all that was pure, corrupted the hearts of men, and led humanity into the depths of depravity. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6:5. The world, once a reflection of divine beauty, became a shadow of its former self, tainted, defiled, beyond human redemption. The cries of the innocent reached the throne of the Almighty, and in his justice he decreed a purging of the world through the waters of a great deluge. Yet within the chaos, God preserved a remnant. Noah, a man righteous in his generation, found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Unlike the fallen ones and the corrupted sons of men, Noah walked with God. He stood as a beacon of faithfulness, a testament that even in the darkest times, the righteous would not be forsaken. To him, the Lord entrusted the blueprint of salvation, a vessel of deliverance, an ark upon which life would endure. The flood was not merely an act of destruction, but a divine reset, a renewal of creation's covenant with its maker. As the torrents of judgment raged, as the deep burst forth and the heavens wept, a new order was being forged. The old world perished, but the promise of redemption remained unbroken. In the aftermath, Noah and his sons emerged as the harbingers of a reborn humanity, charged with the sacred task of restoring the earth. But the prophecy of Enoch does not end with the flood. His visions stretched beyond the deluge, glimpsing into a future where history would once again echo the days of Jared. Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints, to execute judgment upon all. Jude 1:14-15. The corruption of the past is but a foreshadowing of what is to come. The rebellion of the Watchers prefigures the final rebellion, when mankind will once again defy the Most High, seeking dominion apart from him. Enoch's words serve as both warning and hope. The same God who cleansed the world with water will one day purge it with fire. The justice of the Lord is immutable, yet so is his mercy. As in the days of Noah, there will be a sanctuary for the faithful, a greater ark, not built by human hands, but fashioned in the promise of Christ. He is the true refuge, the Redeemer who will lead his people through the coming tribulation. Thus, Enoch's prophecy calls us to vigilance, to holiness, to unwavering trust in the divine will. For the days of reckoning draw near, and only those who walk with God shall endure. The fallen angels, in their defiance of divine order, chose to unveil to humankind secrets that were never meant for mortal grasp. Their rebellion was not merely an act of disobedience, but a rupture in the sacred balance ordained by the Almighty. They imparted forbidden knowledge, an act of corruption that tainted the purity of human existence and led countless souls astray. Among the dangerous revelations bestowed upon humanity, the fallen ones taught the art of warfare and the forging of weapons. What was once a world of harmony became a realm of strife, bloodshed, and devastation. Swords and spears, born from the fires of their ungodly wisdom, became instruments of suffering. The peace that the Lord had intended for his creation was shattered, replaced by endless conflicts that raged through the ages. They introduced men and women to sorcery, divination, and dark incantations, practices that enticed the heart with illusions of power, but led only to ruin. False prophets arose, speaking in tongues of deception, leading the faithful astray with visions not of God, but of fallen spirits. The heavens wept as men turned their hearts away from the Creator, entranced by the mirages conjured by unholy hands. The secrets of metallurgy and mining, once hidden in the depths of the earth, were drawn forth and twisted for selfish gain. The refinement of gold and silver, the extraction of rare minerals, these too became tools of corruption. Greed took root, kings and rulers waged wars for wealth, and the people suffered under the weight of endless avarice. The natural order was defiled, and the children of men forgot the humility with which they were created. Seeing the havoc wrought by these fallen beings, the Lord, in his infinite justice, pronounced their sentence, a punishment beyond mortal comprehension. These wayward angels who once stood in the radiance of God's presence would be cast into an abyss of unquenchable fire, a valley of torment where molten rivers flowed without end, would become their eternal prison. There, their cries would rise like smoke, yet no redemption would come. The once glorious beings who had walked among the stars would now be shackled in the depths, their radiance consumed by the flames of divine wrath. The Book of Jude declares, "And the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day." Jude 1:6. No plea, no repentance could undo what had been done. Their defiance was absolute, and so was their punishment. In those days, the kings of the earth and the mighty ones who had once reveled in the gifts of the fallen angels would seek healing from the Lord. Their eyes, once blinded by arrogance, would search for his mercy. But their sins were engraved upon their souls, and their cries would be but echoes in the void. Their suffering, not of flesh alone but of spirit, would be an agony beyond all earthly pains. They would see the truth of their wickedness. Yet their remorse would not lift the weight of their transgressions. The righteous would behold their downfall and know that the Lord is just. For the Lord loves justice. He will not forsake his saints. They are preserved forever, but the children of the wicked shall be cut off. Psalm 37:28. And so the heavens would rejoice, for the order of creation would be restored. The voices of the faithful would rise in songs of praise, while the wails of the condemned would fade into the chasms of judgment. The fire would not cease, nor would the darkness be lifted. The valley of retribution would remain as a testament to divine justice, a reminder to all that no rebellion against the Most High goes unanswered. And in the eternal realms, where light reigns and truth is undimmed, the faithful would dwell, untouched by the corruption of those who had fallen. Even after the waters of the great flood receded, the corruption within human hearts did not simply dissolve. The land, though cleansed by divine judgment, remained a stage upon which sin would again take root and flourish. The very nature of humanity, marred by the fall, ensured that wickedness would continue to spread, often surpassing the depths of depravity that had provoked the deluge in the first place. The flood had been a moment of reckoning, a divine intervention meant to reset the world, but it was not a final purification. The heart of man, as declared in Genesis 8:21, remained inclined toward evil from youth. No covenant, no warning, not even the cataclysmic destruction of all but the righteous remnant could wholly prevent the resurgence of darkness. The rainbow in the sky was a promise, a sign of mercy, but it did not signify an end to human rebellion. Indeed, history unfolded as a witness to this tragic reality. The generations that followed Noah's family did not remain steadfast in righteousness. Instead, as the descendants multiplied, so too did their ambitions, their pride, and their hunger for power. The Tower of Babel stands as an early testament to this insatiable defiance. Rather than seeking communion with God, men sought to elevate themselves to divine status, constructing monuments to their own vanity. This act of rebellion was met with divine intervention, scattering humanity and fracturing the unity of their language, a moment that foreshadowed the perpetual discord that would define human history. Yet, even as sin multiplied, the Lord did not abandon his creation. There arose figures of faith, those who walked in righteousness amidst a crooked generation. The calling of Abraham marked a turning point, an unfolding of God's plan to bring forth a chosen people through whom he would reveal his covenant, and ultimately his plan of redemption. The rise and fall of nations, the struggles of the faithful against the tide of idolatry and injustice, all testified to the unyielding battle between light and darkness. Prophets arose, their voices carrying both judgment and hope. Isaiah warned of the consequences of forsaking the Lord, declaring, "Woe to the sinful nation, a people whose guilt is great, a brood of evildoers, children given to corruption." Isaiah 1:4. Yet in the same breath, he spoke of restoration, of a time when a righteous branch would arise, bringing justice and peace. This tension between divine justice and divine mercy wove through the centuries, shaping the course of history and pointing toward a greater fulfillment. The cycle of human failure was relentless. Judges were raised up to deliver the people, only for them to fall back into idolatry. Kings were anointed, some seeking the Lord, others leading the people astray. The cries of the oppressed reached the heavens, and the Lord's patience, though great, was not without limits. The destruction of Jerusalem, the exile of Israel, and the silence that followed were reminders that divine warnings were not to be taken lightly. And yet, hope remained. For even in the darkest moments, there were those who held fast to the promise, who awaited the day when righteousness would truly reign. The prophet Daniel, amidst the courts of foreign kings, foresaw a kingdom that would not be shaken, a dominion that would endure forever. His visions pointed beyond the immediate trials of his people toward a messianic hope that would one day be realized. Humanity's tendency toward corruption did not end with the flood, nor with the exile, nor with the fall of any one kingdom. It continues even now, woven into the fabric of our existence. But so too does the call to righteousness, the promise that in every generation a remnant will rise, holding fast to truth, awaiting the day when the fullness of divine justice and mercy will be made manifest. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Enoch, the righteous man, the one who walked with God, was granted celestial visions beyond the grasp of earthly understanding. In his journey through the heavens, the angel Uriel was his guide, revealing to him the hidden architecture of creation, the divine mechanisms set in place by the Almighty himself. These were not mere glimpses, but profound unveilings of sacred truths, illuminating the mysteries that govern the cosmos. He beheld the celestial cycles, the rhythmic procession of the sun, moon, and stars, each moving in accordance with divine law. He has also established them forever and ever. He has made a decree which will not pass away. Psalm 148:6. The heavens, in their ordered splendor, bore testimony to an unshakable decree, a sovereign will that bound all things into a harmonious dance of light and darkness. Uriel, the angel of wisdom, led him further into the mysteries of the firmament, where great portals stood open, gateways through which celestial radiance poured forth onto the world below. These were no arbitrary occurrences, but structured dispensations, precise and measured. He determines the number of the stars. He calls them each by name. Psalm 147:4. The light of the heavens was apportioned by divine command, entering through appointed gates, descending in accordance with the sacred order decreed since the foundation of time. As Enoch wandered the heavenly expanse, he witnessed the intricate balance between illumination and shadow, the appointed rhythm of the seasons that governed the earth. Summer and winter, spring and autumn, each had its ordained place, set forth in the grand design of the Creator. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. Genesis 8:22. The very fabric of time bore witness to an intelligence that orchestrated all things with immeasurable wisdom. Through the guiding hand of Uriel, Enoch saw that nothing in creation was haphazard. The sun, that great luminary, rose and set by decree, neither straying nor faltering in its course. The moon with its shifting phases reflected an eternal truth, the waxing and waning of time itself, a mirror of divine constancy amidst the ebb and flow of existence. The moon marks the seasons, and the sun knows when to go down. Psalm 104:19. In these celestial movements, he discerned the very heartbeat of divine providence, pulsing through the veins of the universe. The stars, scattered like luminous jewels upon the velvet expanse of the night sky, moved in obedience to the one who called them forth. Not one strayed from its appointed place, for even the celestial hosts bowed before the authority of the Most High. Enoch beheld their procession, each fulfilling its duty as ordained since the dawn of creation. By the word of the Lord the heavens were made, their starry host by the breath of his mouth. Psalm 33:6. The wisdom imparted to Enoch was not for the idle curiosity of men, but a sacred trust, a revelation of the divine order that governs all things. He saw that the laws of heaven were not merely written in the stars, but inscribed upon the fabric of reality itself. To deviate from them was to court chaos, to rebel against the very essence of existence. The universe did not sustain itself by chance. It was upheld by the will of the Eternal One, whose power knew no bounds. Uriel's voice resonated like the pealing of a great bell, declaring the grandeur of the Almighty's sovereignty. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Psalm 19:1. Every cycle, every motion in the heavens bore testimony to a divine artistry, a craftsmanship beyond human comprehension. Enoch trembled, not with fear, but with reverence, for he understood that he stood in the presence of eternal truth. As he gazed upon the celestial order, a realization dawned upon him. Man, too, was part of this divine orchestration. Just as the sun and moon obeyed their courses, so too was mankind called to walk in the ways of the Lord, to align his steps with the statutes of the Almighty. To reject divine order was to embrace disorder. To walk apart from God was to wander into darkness. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. The path of righteousness was no less fixed than the path of the stars, for both were drawn by the same divine hand. Thus, in the vastness of the heavens, Enoch discerned not just the mechanics of the cosmos, but the moral framework of existence itself. The laws that governed the celestial bodies were but reflections of a higher law, one that called mankind to holiness, to alignment with the divine will. For in the end, all things, great and small, seen and unseen, moved according to his purpose, and none could stand apart from his decree. Uriel, the messenger of divine wisdom, had granted him a vision not of chaos, but of order, not of random chance, but of sovereign design. Enoch understood that this revelation was not for himself alone, but for all who would seek the path of righteousness. The knowledge he received was a lantern to guide the faithful, illuminating the truth that the heavens proclaimed, that God is, was, and ever shall be, the sustainer of all things, the one in whom all creation finds its purpose and fulfillment. Mankind, in its unquenchable thirst for knowledge, has often wandered into the forbidden, into realms where divine wisdom has set clear boundaries. These boundaries were not established to hinder, but to protect, to preserve the sanctity of the soul and the purity of the heart. Yet, as in the days of old, the allure of the unknown, whispered by fallen angels, has led humanity into perilous territories where judgment is inevitable. From the very moment Adam and Eve tasted the fruit of the tree of knowledge, the human race became entangled in the web of wisdom that was not meant for them. The Book of Enoch, an ancient text often associated with the revelations of hidden knowledge, speaks of the Watchers, those celestial beings who abandoned their appointed roles and imparted forbidden wisdom to humankind. Among the gravest of these transgressions were the teachings that led humanity away from divine purity and into corruption. The sin of writing. It is said that writing, an invention so revered in modern civilization, was once considered an act of defiance against divine order. Before the flood, knowledge was passed down through oral tradition, a practice that preserved the purity of wisdom. Yet, when men learned to inscribe their thoughts onto stone and parchment, they sought permanence in what was meant to be transient. The act of writing, as gifted by the fallen ones, granted men the power to preserve knowledge beyond their lifetimes, to manipulate, to deceive, and to craft falsehoods that could endure across generations. Ecclesiastes 12:12 warns, "Of making many books there is no end, and much study wearies the body." Knowledge, when wielded without reverence, becomes a double-edged sword. In ancient times, sacred wisdom was entrusted to prophets and scribes chosen by God, but when man took it upon himself to record secrets that should have remained hidden, the balance was disturbed. The written word, instead of being a mere vessel of truth, became an instrument for the dissemination of heresy, leading many astray. The art of healing and the temptation of power. Healing, in its divine origin, was a gift bestowed upon those whom the Lord anointed. Christ himself healed the sick, restored sight to the blind, and even raised the dead. Yet what was meant to be a sacred act became a conduit for sin when man sought to harness it apart from divine will. The fallen ones imparted knowledge of herbs, potions, and elixirs, enabling humanity to heal, but also to harm. Consider the tale of King Asa in 2 Chronicles 16:12. In the 39th year of his reign, Asa was afflicted with a disease in his feet. Though his disease was severe, even in his illness, he did not seek help from the Lord, but only from the physicians. His reliance on human knowledge rather than divine intervention led to his downfall. Medicine, when removed from the hand of God, becomes an idol, an object of trust that replaces faith. Moreover, the pursuit of immortality, the alchemical desire to defy death itself, stems from this corrupted wisdom. If man were meant to transcend the bounds of his mortal frame, would it not be by the hand of the Creator rather than through the concoctions of men? Sorcery and the invocation of spirits. Perhaps the gravest of sins imparted by the fallen ones was the teaching of sorcery. The art of divination, necromancy, and the summoning of spirits was a direct affront to the divine hierarchy. The Book of Deuteronomy 18:10-12 explicitly warns against these practices. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices their son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. Yet, despite these warnings, humanity has continuously sought power beyond its station. From the enchantments of ancient Babylon to the clandestine rituals of the medieval alchemists, man has yearned for control over forces beyond his comprehension. In seeking to command the unseen, he unwittingly invites darkness into his soul, forging pacts with entities whose very existence is anathema to divine order. The world in corruption. With these transgressions, the world has spiraled into a state of decay. Just as in the days of Noah, when every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time, Genesis 6:5, so too does the modern era echo these ancient corruptions. Knowledge, once a gift, has become a curse when wielded without wisdom. Healing has turned into an industry driven by greed rather than compassion. And sorcery, though cloaked in the guise of entertainment, philosophy, or science, continues to seduce the minds of many. Yet no sin escapes the sight of the Almighty. The celestial scribes, those angels who record the deeds of men, bear witness to all that transpires. Every action, every whispered thought, every secret endeavor is etched into the divine ledger, awaiting the day when all shall be revealed. Daniel 7:10 speaks of this great reckoning. The court was seated, and the books were opened. The fallen ones, though cast from grace, still seek to weave their influence into the fabric of human existence. Their teachings, though ancient, persist in new forms, veiled beneath the advancements of society. It is up to the faithful to discern, to recognize the echoes of past transgressions in the present age, and to turn away from the temptations that led to the downfall of generations before. For what is forbidden is not withheld from humanity out of cruelty, but out of mercy. The wisdom of God surpasses all understanding, and in his judgment there is both righteousness and grace. The sins of the world may be great, but greater still is the power of redemption for those who seek it with a contrite heart. The justice of the Lord is unfailing, and his decrees stand forever. Throughout the Scriptures, it is made evident that there will come a day of reckoning, a moment when all that has been hidden shall be revealed, and every soul will be judged according to its deeds. This is not merely a threat, but a divine promise, a testament to the righteousness of the Almighty. The fallen angels, once beings of celestial radiance, turned away from the divine light in their rebellion. They, who once stood in the presence of the Almighty, rejected his sovereignty and chose the path of darkness. Their fate is sealed. For as it is written, God did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment. 2 Peter 2:4. Their torment is not momentary but eternal, for the abyss was created for them, a place where no light shines, where agony is unceasing. The wicked, those who reject the ways of righteousness, will meet their end in fire that does not consume, but perpetuates suffering. As the prophet declared, the day is coming, burning like a furnace, when all the arrogant and every evildoer will be stubble. Malachi 4:1. The lake of fire, prepared for the devil and his followers, awaits those who have hardened their hearts against God. This is the second death, the everlasting separation from divine grace, a state of being beyond redemption. But those who have walked in the light, who have remained steadfast in their faith, shall inherit the peace of the Lord. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. Revelation 21:4. These words are not mere consolation, but a guarantee for those who have endured trials and temptations, yet remained faithful. The righteous will not merely survive, they will thrive in the divine presence, basking in the glory of the one who is, who was, and who is to come. The establishment of the kingdom of God is not an abstract hope, but a certainty. In that holy dominion, there will be no deceit, no corruption, no cruelty, only love, justice, and everlasting joy. The Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day there will be one Lord, and his name the only name. Zechariah 14:9. It is the fulfillment of a divine plan, the restoration of creation to its intended perfection. This is the promise of the Almighty, unshaken by time, unchallenged by any force in heaven or earth. The wicked will be cast out, the faithful will be exalted, and the reign of righteousness shall never end. The day draws near, the trumpet will sound, and all will stand before the throne of judgment. The story of Noah's birth, the fallen angels, and the great flood is more than just an ancient tale. It's a warning, a prophecy, and a glimpse into the hidden history of our world. From the watchers who defied God to the divine judgment that reshaped the earth, these events changed the course of humanity forever. But what does this mean for us today? Could history be repeating itself? Are there still secrets buried beneath the sands of time, waiting to be uncovered? One thing is certain. The Book of Enoch holds mysteries that challenge everything we thought we knew. And now that you've heard the truth, what will you do with it? If you found this video fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-blowing revelations. Let us know in the comments. Do you believe the fallen angels still have influence in our world? What other ancient mysteries should we explore next? Thanks for watching, and remember, some knowledge was never meant to be forgotten. See you in the next video.